The referee points to the spot. The Wanda Metropolitano erupts. Arsenal have a penalty. Eberechi Eze has been fouled. Danny McKelly has made his decision. Then VAR calls him to the monitor. The crowd gets louder. McKelly walks over. He looks at the screen and he changes his mind. The penalty is gone. Mikel Arteta is described as incredibly fuming on the touchline. Declan Rice is so angry that he walks into that tunnel and tells the referee, "You have probably been paid." And within hours, Uefa's disciplinary body is reviewing whether Rice will even be available for the second leg of a Champions League semi-final. That is where we are, 1-1. Odegaard off with a knee problem. Rice facing a potential ban. And the most important 10 days of Arsenal's season still ahead of them. Let us break all of it down. Before we get into the details, understand the weight of this moment. Arsenal are top of the Premier League. A win on Saturday puts them 6 points clear. At the same time, they are 2 legs away from a European final, something this club has not experienced since 2006. Thierry Henry, Robert Pires, a different era entirely. And now here they are again, one step from history. Every decision in the next 10 days matters. One wrong call on fitness, one suspension, one poor result. Any of it could unravel a season built over years. This is the moment the project has been building toward, and everything is on the line. Let us start with Saturday. Fulham at the Emirates, Premier League. Massive. Marco Silva confirmed before the game that Ryan Sessegnon is out, not just for Arsenal, but for the match after as well. Alex Iwobi remains unavailable. There is at least one other absentee, and Silva was cautious about further unnamed doubts heading into the week. On paper, Arsenal face a Fulham side that is not at full strength. But do not let that lull you into complacency. Marco Silva consistently gets results with limited resources. He organises his teams, he finds ways to make things difficult, and Fulham have beaten stronger looking sides this season. Arsenal cannot afford to approach Saturday thinking it is comfortable. Now the injury that has every Arsenal supporter deeply anxious. Martin Odegaard was taken off before the hour in Madrid. The reason was knee discomfort, and this is not a new problem. His knee has troubled him for much of this season already. Arteta and Arsenal are sweating on his availability for Saturday, and even more critically for the Champions League second leg just days after that. Odegaard is Arsenal's captain and their creative heartbeat. When he is on the pitch, Arsenal know exactly what they are doing. Every press is coordinated, every transition purposeful. When he is absent, the team becomes slightly less assured, and in matches decided by the finest of margins, that difference matters enormously. The timing of this concern is brutal. The next few days will tell us more. But this is the situation everyone should be watching most closely. Something that might feel like a small detail, but is not. Arsenal fans are being encouraged to line the route of the team bus ahead of the second leg at the Emirates. The thinking is clear. Atletico Madrid built their entire home leg around the atmosphere inside the Wanda Metropolitano. Simeone knows how to use a crowd. It is part of his game plan. When the VAR decision was overturned, that stadium exploded, and it changed the energy on the pitch. Arsenal supporters can do the same thing. If Atletico arrive at the Emirates and feel that the entire neighbourhood is hostile, that is not nothing. That is tactical atmosphere building. The players feel it. The opponents feel it. Arsenal fans, this one is on you. Gabriel Martinelli was asked directly whether Arsenal can reach the final. His answer was honest and grounded. He acknowledged the Metropolitano was always going to be a battle, that Atletico are a good side, and that Arsenal could have done things better. And then he said, they take the draw, they go to London, they want to win. No bravado, no corporate deflection, just realism paired with genuine belief. That combination, acknowledging the difficulty without being overwhelmed by it, is exactly the mindset you want from a player going into a second leg where everything is still to play for. Now the situation with the most immediate consequences for the second leg. In Madrid, McKelly awarded Arsenal a penalty for a foul on Eze. VAR intervened. The decision was reversed. Declan Rice spoke publicly afterward and suggested the fans had provoked the decision and changed the referee's mind. That comment was already on the edge of what UEFA will accept. But the tunnel incident is the real problem. Rice approached the referee and told him, "You have probably been paid." That is not frustration about a decision, that is a direct allegation of corruption. In a Champions League semi-final, UEFA's disciplinary body is reviewing the referee's report. A charge is possible, a suspension is a serious risk, and what makes this worse is that Rice has been here before. At West Ham, after their Europa League semi-final defeat to Frankfurt, he made similar comments. UEFA charged him, he received a 2-game ban. He knows exactly where the line is, and he crossed it anyway. Now, for important context, Sky Sports refereeing expert Dermot Gallagher said publicly that he does not think there was enough to overturn the original penalty. In his assessment, the referee should never have been sent to the monitor. That tells you the anger had legitimate foundation. The decision appears to have been a genuine error. Rice's method of expressing that frustration is what has caused the problem, not the frustration itself. Arsenal cannot afford to lose him for the second leg. Losing Rice on top of a potential Odegaard absence would strip the midfield of its 2 most important players at the worst possible moment. The Opta supercomputer has Arsenal as favourites to win the Champions League 33.9%, ahead of PSG at 32.25%, Bayern at 22.67% and Atletico at just 10.1%. That is encouragement, not certainty. The models do not account for knee injuries to captains or suspension risks, but the fact that Arsenal sit above PSG and well clear of Bayern tells you something real about how the data views this side. They are not just a story. They are genuinely rated as the best team left in this competition. Use it for confidence, not complacency. Arteta was asked after the game whether it was another big night for Victor Gyökeres. He praised the first half, called the penalty conversion ice cold, and then immediately noted that the second half changed and there were things the team needed to do much better. That caveat is the honest part. Arteta always speaks with precision. When he praises and then points to the second half in the same breath, he is telling his players 45 good minutes is not enough. We need 90. Martin Keown identified exactly what changed. At half-time, Simeone switched to a back 3 and pushed his fullbacks higher. It neutralised Gyökeres. It squeezed the space he had been exploiting. And then the drama of the overturned penalty reinvigorated the Metropolitano, and that energy, that crowd, had a visible effect on the second half. Atletico managed the game in halves. They were second best for 45 minutes. They adapted, and they came away with a draw they manufactured through tactical intelligence. The question for Arteta is how he counters that in the second leg. If he finds the answer, Arsenal go to Paris. Victor Gyökeres' agent posted on Instagram after the game to mark something genuinely historic. Gyökeres became the first Swede in history to score in a Champions League semi-final. Not Henrik Larsson, not Zlatan Ibrahimovic. Victor Gyökeres, in his first season at Arsenal, in his first semi-final. The agent's post also noted he personally waived £2 million in commission to help facilitate the move from Sporting Lisbon. That is a significant personal financial decision. It tells you this was not just a transaction. Gyökeres wanted Arsenal. His agent worked to make it happen. And last night in Madrid, he showed exactly why. Bukayo Saka said the squad had mixed feelings. They would have liked to win, but they take the draw. He called it half-time in the tie. And then he said something that reveals the culture of this group. Arsenal are never really satisfied if they do not win, given the talent they have. That is not a cliché. That is a genuine standard. And that hunger going into a second leg at home is a real reason for optimism. Steven Gerrard, speaking on TNT Sports, added his tactical recommendation. Arsenal have to get Eze on the pitch in the second leg. He described him as someone who gives the team a different kind of spark, a different kind of power. He is right. Eze came on in the first leg and immediately changed things, drew the penalty, carried the ball with purpose, made Atletico uncomfortable. Whether he starts or comes off the bench, his involvement in the second leg is going to matter. On the transfer picture briefly, because it is relevant to where this squad is heading, Victor Osimhen has said publicly he feels at home at Galatasaray. Player statements in April do not always hold through August, but for now he is not pushing for a move. If Arsenal want him, they will need something compelling enough to change that. A Serge Gnabry link has emerged from Sportsboom, not a verified outlet, and there is a reported €10 million gap between what Bayern want and what Arsenal would offer. Treat it as noise for now. More credible, Nicolo Shearer reports Jacob Kiwior is set to join Porto permanently for around €20 million, with personal terms already agreed. It makes complete sense. Kiwior has never established himself as a starter. Arsenal raise funds, clear a squad slot, and Porto get a reliable defender. Fabrizio Romano confirms Arsenal are following 17-year-old Serbian midfielder Vasilij Shokostov. Contact has been made with people close to the player. It is early. Romano himself was cautious on whether a deal gets done. But this is the kind of signing that does not make headlines today and matters enormously in 5 years. It is exactly the profile Arsenal have built their development model around. And James Bender reports Bayern Munich are pushing to sign Kai Havertz. The key word is pushing. That is Bayern's position, not Arsenal's. There is a significant difference between a club wanting your player and you being willing to sell. Havertz has been central to Arteta's system. This deserves monitoring, not panic. One final point. Micah Richards identified something real about Arsenal's attacking form, and it is worth naming clearly. The results tell the story. A 1-0 win over Newcastle, a 2-1 defeat to City, a 2-1 defeat to Bournemouth. Arsenal have not scored 2 goals in a Premier League game for a while. Richards said it plainly, the front three do not have the confidence that the rest of the squad has. This is not a question of quality. Martinelli has scored 15 Premier League goals in a season. Gyökeres scored in a Champions League semi-final. These are not players without ability. This is about confidence, and Richards has diagnosed it correctly, which is why Saka's return matters beyond just his own direct contribution. When Saka is fully functional, defences adjust their entire shape around him. That adjustment opens space for the players alongside him. His presence alone changes how teams set up, and that change in setup is what can unlock the confidence of the forwards around him. If Saka is fit, that is the unlock nobody is talking about enough. Here is where everything stands. Arsenal top of the Premier League, level at 1-1 in a Champions League semi-final. Opta's statistical favourite to win the whole competition, but sweating on Odegaard's knee, waiting on Uefa's decision about Rice, attacking confidence not at its peak, and a transfer window approaching that will define the squad for next season. 2 games, Saturday against Fulham, then Atletico at the Emirates. Everything this club has worked toward comes down to what happens in those 90 minutes each. Line the route on the night of the second leg, fill the Emirates, be the atmosphere that makes Atletico uncomfortable from the first whistle to the last. And then let us see if this group, this extraordinary, purpose-built group under Mikel Arteta, can do what no Arsenal team has done in nearly 20 years. They are 2 results from a European final, 2 results from history. Stay with Arsenal.